And welcome to tonight's Homewood City Council meeting, October 23rd, 2017. We're going to begin tonight with our invocation from Pastor Chris Goins of the A2 Church, which is none other than our Melody's Church. And we are so pleased to have you, and the pressure will be on you. Melody will be watching you closely.
I have built him up really good, so Mr. Wright, so you got to bring it.
Well, let's pray. Father, you love it when people get along. You said how pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity, and you love it when governments prosper and serve your good pleasure and the people. We just pray for your leadership upon the mayor, the city council. We pray the prayer of Psalm 19:14. May the words of our mouth, the meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. You've promised wisdom when we seek it, so we look to you, and we pray all of this in the name of Jesus, your Son. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We'll begin tonight with roll call. Ms. Melody.
Yes, Mr. Gwaltney?
Here.
Mr. Thames? Here. Mr. Higginbotham? Here. Mr. Wolverton? Here. Mr. McCluskey? Mr. Jones? Here. Mrs. Smith? Here. Mr. Wyatt?
Here.
Mrs. Andress? Here. Mr. Wright?
Here.
And President Limbaugh.
All right, we have a quorum. So I'll first begin with entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from September 18th, 2017 and September 25th, 2017, which were forwarded to us by Melody earlier.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andrews, second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that will, those minutes will stand as approved. All right, we have a board vacancy matter to take up with the Medical Clinic Board at Large. This is, as I understand it, a three-person board we have, and I suppose we're anticipating some medical clinic board action coming up in the coming months, perhaps. And we have one active member on this board, and we have two expired terms. So is that right, Melody?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And so I would like to, I guess I need council, I'll just ask council action to open the two expired terms, just open those two at-large positions. Is that all we need to do, Melody?
Yes, sir, it's been open before, but it closed without any applicants. So I'm assuming.
So we just need to reopen it again?
I'm assuming the people that are on there will still have to, could still continue to serve if they will until such time, but we just need to.
That statute doesn't, that particular code section doesn't have that provision. Most of them do.
Oh, they don't? Okay. But I guess we need to reopen it and set a closing date and then see if we can actively recruit, because I think they have a project coming up that we need their action on.
All right, and you said we need to set a closing date as well?
It goes faster if you do, because then we don't have to
Okay.
come back and close it and then make the appointment.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and open it, and without objection, I'm guessing, are we thinking 60 days?
Yeah, Mr. Kendrick, your time deadline, time frame of that
I
project?
think they'd like to close something before the end of the year, so. And I do think, and I haven't talked to them, and to be honest with you, I wasn't aware of the vacancies, but I think existing members are still here and they'll probably be willing to serve out. I don't mind calling if you're interested in it.
Yes, certainly there's no objection
But
from
then
council
I'd close
members.
it at the next meeting, so that in case there is an applicant, then we can.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, well, then that makes me want to adjust whether we want to open it up for 2 weeks or 30 days. Why don't we open it up for 30 days, and if Mike, if you would be so kind to take on the task of contacting the two existing members And if we can get them to reapply, then we'll close it in 30 days.
Yeah, that'd be the November, I don't know what y'all gonna do about the meetings on the because of Thanksgiving, but the normal meeting on November would be, or the 13th and the 27th.
Well,
But
the only reason I'm hesitant about doing 2 weeks is if the 2 existing members are not willing to serve, we have 2 weeks. So that's my point. So won't we try 30 days? My guess is we won't have heated competition for this position. So.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a quick question about that?
Absolutely.
To either you or whomever might be the best person to address this. Can you explain to me exactly what the board does, what the responsibilities of the
Medical
members are?
Clinic Board primarily is like all of the public agencies, they're a financing mechanism, provide non-interest-free loans to borrowing to boards that qualify. We only have 2 that will qualify. Homewood, Brookwood Hospital and Lakeshore Facilities on
Okay.
2. And this has to be a
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Qualifying agencies, the only 2 that I'm aware of that qualify, are Brookwood Hospital and Lakeshore Valley.
All right, any other questions? All right, so with that, without objection, I'll just open it up for 30 days, and Mike, appreciate your help on that, and you can certainly just communicate with us.
so we're gonna close it on November the 23rd?
What day is that?
Well, that's a Thursday.
Won't make
That's
it,
actually Thanksgiving. Yeah, see, the normal next council meeting after the 13th would be the 27th.
let's do it 22nd, the day before.
27th?
Yeah, 22nd,
22nd
the day before.
at 4:30?
That'll be fine.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Next item, so we do have, to amend the agenda, I have to add 2 items. One, adding to the committee referral new business agenda 231017, which is a request to set a public hearing for consideration of a front yard wall variance at 3107 Whitehall Road, coming to us from, excuse me, Andy Versiglio and Wyatt Pugh. That'll be referred to Special Issues Committee. And also adding to tonight's other new business agenda 231017, which has the same number, but we have to have it, both action items under both these agendas. Again, request to set public hearing for consideration of a front yard wall variance at 3107 Whitehall Road. And with that, I think those are the only 2 changes to tonight's agenda. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the amendments to tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
By Mr. Thames, second by Mr. Higginbotham. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the agenda stands as amended. All right, first we'll begin with our consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
By Mr. Gwaltney. Second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor? Any discussion on those items? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consent agenda stands as approved. And that gets us into the old business agenda. 12:05:17, public hearing set for November 13, 2017 at 6 o'clock in consideration of a petition for annexation for the property located at 1400 Shades Crest Road. So that will come to us on November 13th. Next, I have 250717, which is a request for consideration of presentations by Daniels Communities. Mr. Thames, I think we were waiting on the
Yep.
contract. I
Contract's
don't know
being
where we
reviewed,
are on
so
that right
please-
now. If you can update us.
It's being reviewed by Mr. Kendrick, so please carry over.
All right, so without objection, we'll carry over 250717. Next item is 180817, which is a request for consideration of ABC special retail license for 1918 Catering LLC, doing business as 1918 Catering, located at 197 Vulcan Road. I think we have some outstanding issues on that one, so without objection, I'm going to carry that item over as well. Next item, 180917, which is a request to approve expenditures of Exhibit A from HPM Management on behalf of the Board of Education from the Construction Fund We thoroughly discussed these in weeks past and been informed of a request to drop this item, so I would entertain a motion to drop.
Motion to drop. Oh, sorry.
By Mr. Hickenbottom, second
Second.
by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So 1809-17 will be dropped. And gets us to 2309-17, which is a public hearing set for tonight for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 1760 Oxmoor Road. And first, we're going to get a report from Special Issues on this.
Yes, the committee met last week, and we heard from Mr. Brandt of Freighter Services, and Ms. Andrews made a motion to send this out to council tonight, pending, without recommendation, pending public hearing. Mr. Hickenbottom seconded that, and the motion carried with a 4-0 vote.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. And so we'll have a public hearing tonight. We're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Oops, excuse me. I banged the counter here. So first, I'll begin with anyone. Vanessa, if you want to maybe start, you can tell us what this is, and then we'll hear from proponents of the sign variance.
This is a variance for an additional sign. It'll be a monument sign in front of the building, so they'll have 3 total signs at that property. The sign does meet the size requirements for a monument sign. It's just an additional sign.
All right, if you guys remember this from committee, so the only variance is the additional sign, okay? Anyone else wish to come speak in favor or against this? Come on forward, sir.
I'm for it.
I knew.
Yes, ma'am.
This is great. This is my first experience with the new system here, so I don't have to print copies. I'm David Brandt with Freighter Services. I'll be providing the sign. I've got my unpaid intern with me. My other one, he's holding the fort down back there. Vanessa just explained it. I mean, it's very simple. It's a non-illuminated sign. It's got curb appeal. We're trying to enhance the anticipatory visibility and identification of LAH as you're approaching east and westbound on Oxmoor Road, and so that's really the point of it. As Vanessa said, it is a monument. It does meet the size requirements. I'm working with Vanessa and the traffic engineering folks to make sure that it's pulled far enough towards the building to where it'll be sufficient for people to be able to nose out and safely make a right-hand turn on red. So that's really the long and short of it.
What about your existing signage right now to justify this?
There are 2 signs on the building. The one runs perpendicular to 18th Street, and so that sign is it indicates LAH. That one is doing its job as for people heading. I guess that would be south up the hill on 18th Street. And as you're driving east and west on Oxmoor Road, there is a sign on the side of the building. It is there. It is blocked by. You can read it once you're in the parking lot. It does usher you towards the entrance of the building from the parking lot, but you really can't see it as you're heading eastbound on Oxmoor Road. And so the monument sign kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone with the east and westbound visibility, identifiability, if that's a word, of the business from coming from both directions, from somewhat of a distance too is the other thing. Whereas the existing sign that's on the west side of the building, it's being blocked by those trees, and it's really not doing the job that this monument sign would be doing.
All right, any further questions?
So much for him.
Yeah.
That's why he's unpaid.
He's not very persuasive, so. All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this item? And if not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And Turn it over to council for discussion and action. Any comments or discussion? All right, motion for approval by Mrs. Smith. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. White. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. And so it'll be 1 no from Mr. Higginbotham. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1. All right, thank you. So that will be Resolution 17.
174.
174. Gets us to, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take one item out of order if I may. 131017, which is a request tonight for consideration of a resolution to request that the Alabama legislature take action relieving the city of Homewood from the application of the lid bill. And this is coming to us from finance, so I would ask for a report from finance.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on the 16th and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the resolution that Councilor Wyatt had approved, and that's been distributed. So 4-0 recommended approval from Finance.
All right, and I know we just had the resolution provided to us formally or informally provided to us by email. I don't know if anyone has any questions or has a request for it to be read or anything like that. If not, or any further discussion, entertain a motion. Yes, sir, Mr. Higginbotham.
I just wanted to, I did want to make a couple comments about the process on this, and I know that we are fortunate to have Representative Faulkner in the audience. He can correct me if I'm wrong about what I'm about to say. As I understand it, should the legislature adopt this bill, then it would be submitted to the entire county for a vote to ratify removing Homewood from the lid bill. Is that correct?
It may be. If anybody objects, it will be a countywide vote. If there's no objection, then it would, from the members of the legislature, would be a citywide vote.
Citywide vote, okay.
Oh, so there is a chance for a citywide vote.
So it could be a
If
citywide
there's no
vote.
objection, but
Yeah, and of course, it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it, that if there was ever a desire, which this does not necessarily voice a desire, but if there was ever a desire to raise property taxes, that would require a vote of the residents of the city of Homewood, as I understand it. So I just want to just lay out a little bit of the background on this. And as I told Mr. White, I am principled and against the lid bill entirely, just because I think local government should make their own decisions. But I just wanted to be clear about what the process was, because I think there's some misinformation.
maybe I need to state this. Maybe Mr. Representative Faulkner might have a different opinion. The legislature has to adopt an act that would authorize exempting the city. And then they would have to authorize a vote of the people to consider any resolution, any ad valorem increase or election to raise any increase. So it's really a two-step process. One, they have to adopt this first act, then they would have to subsequently, assuming they adopted an act exempting us from the lid bill, they have to authorize a vote of the people to have a vote to even consider an ad valorem increase. David, do you have any different?
My understanding is, I will say this, Mike, my understanding is that there has to be a countywide vote, regardless. But I do think you just described a two-step process correctly. I do think there's a two-step process, but I do think there has to be a countywide vote, regardless of whether an objection or not. But that can be worded, that can be certainly be worded that it is for Homewood only. And if I'm wrong on that, we'll, you know, I never say I'm always right, but from what I was told, I understand there has to be a countywide vote. Even if we get it through Montgomery, there does change whether we have an objection in the legislature, whether or not the votes that we have on the House, on the floor of the Senate or the House. But I still think you have to have a Jefferson County-wide vote up here.
All right, well,
I could be wrong. I'm not, maybe.
Well, and we'll sort through that. For tonight's purposes, we are talking about a resolution from the city council and whether it's going to be a citywide vote or a countywide vote. It's going to require state legislative approval. And this is just to remove us from the lit bill. Again, to clarify, it has nothing to do with raising property taxes or anything along those lines. But, all right, so with that, I'll see if there's any further questions or discussion. Entertain a motion for approval.
I'll second it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So we have, it came out of finance with approval. Thank you, sir. With that, I'll entertain a second.
I will second that.
Second by Mrs. Andrus. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that stands approved, and that's going to be resolution 17175.
Yes, sir.
I've got these a little bit out of order. All right, thank you on that. So it's 13-10-17. Back to order of our agenda 2509-17, which is a public hearing set for November 13th for consideration for ADA transition plan. Coming to us from Vanessa McGrath and BEZ department. And again, that'll be carried over into a public hearing set for November 13th. Next item, 02-10-17, which is a request for consideration of a crosswalk at Bonita Drive and Poinciana Drive on the north side of the neighborhood. And that is coming to us from Special Issues, Mrs. Smith.
Well, it's public safety.
Safety.
It's public safety.
Sorry, that's probably on our script. We had special issues. That's not public safety.
All right, report from Public Safety, and who is doing Public
I'm
Safety?
doing it tonight.
Oh, Mr. Wyatt, thank you, sir.
No problem. The committee considered this item and voted to recommend it by a 4-0 vote. The motion was made by Ms. Andrus and seconded by me.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions or discussions on this? I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So, you just need a
I'll
second?
entertain a second.
I will second that.
Came out of committee, we still have to get a second.
I'll second
Entertain
it.
a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Andrus.
You don't
Any
have to
further
get one if it comes out of committee, just on the reviewing bills, because it doesn't come out of committee. If it comes out of committee, you don't have to get a second, but you can if you want to.
Oh.
Okay.
Just
Well,
letting you know.
I did let the record reflect
Mr.
that
Jones would prefer you not.
I wanted a second.
No,
and
Mr. Jones would prefer not
by
to give a
golly,
second.
I got a second. So
Okay. I have Andrus down as the second.
any further discussion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that's going to be Resolution 176. 04-10-17, which is a request for consideration to authorize the mayor to sign a 3-year WAN maintenance contract. We're going to carry that over tonight. Next item, 05-10-17, which is a request for consideration to declare miscellaneous computers and equipment surplus. That is coming to us with a report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee voted 4-0 to recommend approval for declaring miscellaneous computers and equipment surplus. I believe this is an ordinance.
It is, yes, sir.
All right, this is ordinance. Okay, thanks, sir. And with that, we'll do first reading. Mike?
Yes, sir. It's established and declared that the following described personal property of the city is no longer needed for public or municipal purposes, and the property is described in Exhibit A, which I assume Melanie has. You got the Exhibit A?
I will have it, yes, sir. Mr. Yates has sent it to me. I do not have it on my person, but we do have it, yes, sir.
The mayor and the clerk are authorized and directed to dispose of the property by auction to the highest bidder.
All right, thank you. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for dispense with unanimous consent
I'd move for unanimous consent.
by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Wyatt. Roll call vote, Ms. Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames? Mr. Higginbotham? Mr. Wolverton? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. With that, I'll entertain a motion for approval. By Mr. Gwaltney. Second by Mr. Higginbotham. And another roll call vote, Melody.
Okay, Mr. Gwaltney? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Thames? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Higginbotham? Mr. Wolverton? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, and so that's going to be ordinance 2674.
Yes, that's right.
Stands as approved. All right, thank you. Next item is 08-10-17, which is a public hearing tonight for consideration of a variance to a fence ordinance at 112 Hollywood Boulevard, coming to us from Christopher Allison and Wyatt Pugh and Greg Cobb and the BEZ department. And we'll begin tonight with a report from, I have special issues on this.
That is correct.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith.
The committee met last week and voted to send this issue out to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing set for tonight. Ms. Andrus made the motion. No, sorry. Don't know. Oh, Mr. Higginbotham made the motion. Ms. Andrus seconded, and it was 5-0 to pass it.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Smith. So we do have a public hearing on this tonight. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. And Vanessa, I see you up there, so why don't you tell us what's going on with this
Yes, my name
item?
is nowhere on this, but that's all right. I spoke with Mrs. Allison today, and they would request to drop this.
Request a drop, okay?
Drop.
Any further
Second.
entertain a motion to drop by Mr. Jones?
I'll second it. Nope.
Oh. Yes, we're going to close the public hearing first. Entertain a motion to drop by Mr. Jones.
Ms. Andrus.
Second by Mrs. Andrus. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that will stand as dropped. Next item is 09-10-17, which is a public hearing tonight to consider declaring property located at 2900 16th Place South a public nuisance due to a violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750, excessive growth. And we'll begin tonight on this with another report from Special Issues. Mrs. Smith?
No, actually, you're going to get a report from Mr. Cook.
This did not come out of Special Issues? Okay. All right. Well, we have a public hearing tonight. I'll tell you what, Scott, I'll go ahead and let you tell us what this is about, and then we'll open the
Okay.
public hearing.
Okay. The property is owned by Bonnie O'Bannon at the same address, 2900 16th Place South. The property was posted and the certified letter was mailed out on September the 5th, giving until September the 18th to come into compliance. The certified mail was signed for on September the 29th. On October the 13th, a certified letter was mailed notifying the owner of tonight's October 23rd public hearing. On October the 17th, the post office left the notice of the certified letter waiting at the post office for signature. As of this morning, that notice has yet to be delivered. During this entire process, I've had no conversation or communication with the homeowner other than me sending the certified letters out. While I was on site today, I could see that some work had been done, but you had to look very closely to even notice that something had been done.
All right, thanks, sir. I'm going to go ahead and open public hearing on this. Ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor or against this item. Seeing no one, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and turn it over to council for further questions of Mr. Cook and discussion.
Mr. Cook, while you were on site, I know you were there for overgrowth, but what's the condition of that garage? Is it?
It's, looking at it again today, it's in pretty bad shape. Yeah. The roof seems to be falling in on the back portion. A lot of debris is up there, limbs are hanging over on it. It does look like there's a lot of rot on the roof. The sides, I believe, are cinder block, so they're, holding up pretty well, but the roof is in pretty bad shape.
And they did remove a vehicle, isn't that
Yes,
correct?
we did send a notice about a vehicle that was on the property back 3 weeks ago, and they did remove it.
Have you had any recent discussions with them about efforts to try and?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
Are they living there?
I'm sorry?
Is somebody living there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you attempt to make contact when you're showing up on the property? Like, do you try and knock on the door?
At times, just depends on the situation.
Okay. I just didn't know
Yeah.
if there was an history.
Okay, any further discussions? Entertain a motion or action on this item?
I'd move to declare public nuisance.
Okay, a motion to declare public nuisance from Mr. James. second by Mr. Gwaltney. Any further discussion, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that stands as approved, declaring public nuisance. And is that a resolution, Mike, for?
Yes, sir, it is.
117-177.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cook.
Thank you.
Next item we have is our committee referral agenda, which is amended. I'll entertain a motion to approve the committee referral agenda as amended. By Mr. Wyatt. Second by Mr. Higginbotham. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, gets us to other new business, 1910-17, which is a request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Jefferson Blount St. Clair Mental Health Authority and fund the fiscal year 17-18 budget appropriation. And so this was coming to us from our city treasurer, finance committee. It didn't come through finance committee, but and this is essentially an action to approve signing a contract for a budget item that's already been approved in the budget.
And Mr. Wright, they really don't, it's really more of a, I think, just an agreement of services because they're a mental health organization, but they have an exhibit that for us to attach it, but it is in the budget for $5,400.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion for approval or discussion.
I'll move to approve.
Move
Second.
to approve by Ms. Andrus, second by Mrs. Smith. Question, Mr. Hickenbottom?
Yeah, just a quick one. Is our seat on JBS currently vacant, or what's the status of our representation on the board there?
I have to find out. I don't know. the
Okay,
answer
I was
to
just
that.
curious, since
I
we
can
were on
find out.
JBS, I thought I'd ask. I have no objection to this item, you
Okay.
understand, I just was
All right.
curious. Thanks.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that will stand as approved, and that'll be 17-178. Next item is 2010-17, which is a request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with the Birmingham Zoo. Also an item on, approved in our budgets, and I'll entertain a motion for approval or discussion or questions. Move for approval by Mr. Gwaltney, second by Mr. Wyatt. Further questions or discussion? All in favor? Excuse me.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that's going to be 17-179. Resolution stands as approved. Next item, which is 21-10-17, which is a request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with the Exceptional Foundation, and entertain a motion and second for this by Mr. Thames for approval.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that, that authorization stands as approved, and that's going to be 17-180. And last item tonight is 22-10-17, which is a request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of October 9th, 2017 through October 22nd, 2017. And yours truly had the opportunity to review those today. No time too soon. And Melody did address a few questions we raised, and all appear to be in good order. And since I am going to ask for a motion to approve this, since I did the approval. So I'll entertain a motion for approval by Mr. Hickenbotham, second by Mr. Gwaltney. Any further discussions or questions regarding my analysis and review of the bills for that period of time? Seeing none, with the gavel in hand, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so those expenditures are approved October 9th, 2017 through October 22, 2017, which is Resolution 17-181. Okay, that gets us back to announcements.
No, so we need to set a public hearing on that
Yeah,
item
the
that we
23.
added. The 23-10-17, we just need y'all to set a public
The
hearing.
added item.
Oh, was that noted?
Can we do that? at the
Oh,
next
I'm so
one?
sorry. You're right. My
You
mistake.
just got to get 7 days notice, so. if you
My
don't
mistake.
have
So
it-
23-10-17, which is a request to set a public hearing for consideration of a front yard wall variance at 3107
November
Whitehall
13th.
Road.
Yeah.
Did we come up with a
You
date?
said November 13th would
First
be
time we
okay.
did do it, it'd be at the next
All right, for November 13th, 2017, without any objection, we'll set that for public hearing on that date. All right, now with that, we'll move on to announcements, and Mr. Mayor.
I just have one, and it's to regret the announcing and passing of one of our former employees. If many of you remember Charlotte Fincher, Charlotte went back to days of Miss Linda, and then, of course, recently with Melody. But she passed away over the weekend. I think her services are going to be out in Leeds, where she lived, at Kilgrove on Wednesday. So remember Charlotte and her family in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, announcements, Mr. Gwaltney?
I have nothing this evening.
All right, that's easy enough to deal with. Mr. Thames?
Nothing this evening.
All right, do you need to set your committee?
I do not believe so.
Nothing in P&D, okay.
No, sir.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to thank the folks in Rosedale for having the council and mayor out. I know that Mr. Gwaltney was there, and the mayor was there, and Andrew and I both were able to attend. And I don't know exactly who the folks were that were operating the grill, but they made a mean hamburger. That's what and JJ was there as well. I'm sorry, Mr. Bischoff was there as well. But anyway, we appreciated very much their hospitality and asking us out, and it was good.
And their hamburgers.
And their hamburgers. That goes without saying. So, okay. Also, this Saturday is the 83rd annual Hall Kent Fall Festival from 3 to 7. And so, as I said to several places on social media today, they've done this 82 times before, so they know what they are doing. And so it's going to be a fabulous event. There are lots of games and rides and great food and a silent auction and just a whole lot of fun for the family. So bring your kids out or just come on your own and enjoy the evening. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Wolverton?
Yeah, I just wanted to second what Mr. Higginbotham was saying about the get-together at Spring Park. It was a good time. My kids seemed to really like the hot dogs and also the Cheetos. So we had orange fingers all the way around. I also wanted to just give a shout out to the police department again. They've had a lot of things going on, especially night shift. A lot of things that they've been taking care of, and I think it's easy to forget sometimes their presence, 24 hours a day serving the city when we're at work or in bed or wherever we are. So appreciate all the work that they do, and just in general keeping the city safe and trying to keep bad things out. And then I also wanted to just thank Randy Hambley and for getting going on the crosswalks and things around Hall Kent. Everything's starting to come together and looking good. Sorry.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Jones?
Ms. Melody, is finance set?
I think I'll have to go back and look at the public notice. I think we said on the 6th at 5. I think we set them all at 5.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, just want to make sure. So we're off next week completely.
Well, it's the 5th Monday, so we usually don't.
Right, I know. That's great.
Woohoo.
Okay. Okay, I don't have anything further. Thank you.
So it's the November 6th, is that our next, that's committee meetings?
November 6th at 5 o'clock. We need 30 minutes, right?
All right, Mrs. Smith? Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones?
My favorite announcement is that the Homewood Patriots varsity football team has won again.
Are you jumping on that bandwagon now? Is that what
Yes,
you're doing?
I am. I am leading the bandwagon.
Just because as soon as they become 8-0, all we hear from is Mrs.
All
Smith.
of a sudden, they're all the fans. No, it was a great game Friday night. They showed a lot of heart and a lot of fight, and it was a really good game. So very proud of the boys, and they'll be back in action Friday night at Waldrop for senior night. At 7 o'clock versus Hueytown, who had a rough start to the season but has been steadily improving. So it's going to be a great game. Come out and watch. I will set special issues for 5:30, and I have 3 items. I could
Let me just say 15 minutes. I think we'll be good about 15 minutes.
Fair enough.
And I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you. Just a reminder that the Chamber of Commerce is having their golf tournament this week on the 26th out at Robert Trent Jones for anyone that would like to play. Secondly, Melody, do I need to set public safety for?
I think we had some stuff we carried over, so can we set it? And if we don't, I'll cancel it, but I think we do need to.
I'll set it for 5:45.
I would ask if you maybe could set that for 6.
Ms.
So
Smith,
that
were
you can have
were you
5:45?
Exactly. I'm trying to scoot somewhere that
Yeah,
night, so.
that's fine.
And if there's nothing on it.
There you go.
Ms. Smith, did you say 6 for special issues, Ms. Smith?
She said 5:30.
I said 5:30.
5:30, okay.
So Peter, you just think you need 15 minutes for Public
Mhm,
Works?
mhm.
Okay, then I'll set Public Safety for 6.
Okay.
And lastly, I just wanted to thank Representative Faulkner for coming tonight to hear our resolution about the lid bill. Appreciate his support.
Thank you, Mr. Wyatt. Ms. Andrus?
I had a exciting meeting last week. The Ward 1 reps were there as well with the Regional Planning Commission and our Master of Heart of Homewood Downtown Master Planning Committee. And the Regional Planning Commission was very impressed with the number of citizens that participated, be it in person or online. They had over 2,300 unique visitors to the website, which they were really pleased with. We had over almost 200 people that took the survey online, and we had over 100 people in person come by and share their thoughts. So the next public engagement will be in the January timeframe, and so look for that. I also wanted to congratulate the Homewood Middle School boys cross-country team for the first time in school history. We are Metro champions. I want to congratulate Ward 5 resident Grayton Murray for winning the entire race. It was the most epic finish to any race I have ever seen. He took down 4 runners in the last 300 meters of the race and finished 4 seconds in front of, and took 4 more seconds in front of the number 2 runner. It was incredible. And then we took 6th place, 7th place, 8th place, and 9th place. So we scored 31 points, and we are the definitive undefeated champs. So it was very exciting. The girls came in 2nd place to a very, very, very talented Mountain Brook team. So really a great season all the way around.
Destroying the competition.
Incredible.
I love
I mean, I'm telling you, this is a dynasty in the making. You guys are going to
it.
be hearing about
And
this.
I did notice, Jennifer, that you said Ward 5 resident. So,
I'm just saying the.
So are the athletes in Ward 5, the children athletes?
3 of those are
or
Ward 5, maybe 4. Lenny and Bogo, Sam Gray,
boy.
and Ben and Grayton Murray really
That's
were
wonderful.
incredible.
Middle
So,
school.
I'm telling you guys, we're going to be talking about this for years to come. They're incredible. The high school has got sectionals on November 2nd, and then state is the following week. So
Great, thank you. Just a couple quick comments. I wanted to echo what Mr. Wolverton said about our police department, and they've been in the news a lot and doing some outstanding work and helping to keep us safe, and it really does, just bring into reality of what they're doing for this community and for our families and for our city, just day and night. And just want to make a comment about that and express our appreciation and pride in what they do and what they'll continue to do for our city. Also, I wanted to thank Mr. Wyatt for his work on the lid bill, and Mr. Faulkner as well. I do think that's an important item for the city, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed. I told Alex that I took responsibility for getting it out of City Council. I'm going to leave it to Alex to take care of it down the legislature. So best of luck with that. Also wanted to remind our council members tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at the school board, very excited about a presentation that they're going to make to us regarding the school proposals with regard to their bond funds that they're receiving. So looking forward to that. And just to remind everyone that there'll be a public presentation to the public Thursday night at Homewood High School. And I want to say it's at 6:30, if I'm not mistaken. It is at 6, excuse me, okay, 6 o'clock. So I'd rather err on the side of being early than late, so let's say 6 o'clock. And with that, we'll set Public Works for 5:45. Thank you for Alex for throwing Mr. McCluskey under the bus in this public safety meeting. And with that, we will stand as adjourned. Thank you all.